Today, we are going to recap Mufasa the Lion. Spoilers ahead. The movie starts with Simba gathering all the animals in the wilderness to share exciting news. He and Nala are expecting another child. Meanwhile, Nala arrives at a peaceful oasis and waits for Simba so she can safely give birth. At the same time, Simba heads to Pride Rock with his two best friends, Timon and Pumbaa, where his daughter Kiara is waiting for him. Simba tells Timon and Pumbaa that he needs them to be on their best behavior because he has assured Nala that everything will go smoothly. At first, they are reluctant to babysit Kiara, but they agree when Simba admits they are the only ones he can trust with his daughter. When they reach Pride Rock, Kiara runs to Simba, frightened by the approaching storm. Simba comforts her, promising that everything will be fine. He then prepares to leave and meet Nala, but before going, he reminds Timon and Pumbaa not to tell Kiara any wild stories. Despite their promise, Timon and Pumbaa immediately start telling Kiara their exaggerated tales. They claim that they were the ones who defeated Scar, Simba's evil uncle. Kiara insists that her father told her he defeated Scar, but Timon and Pumbaa argue that Simba lied to her. Suddenly, the storm arrives with loud thunder, and everyone rushes to hide behind a large rock. Trying to cheer Kiara up, Pumbaa suggests that Timon sing a song, but the two end up arguing instead. While they bicker, Kiara notices Rafiki entering the cave. Excited, she runs to him and says she misses her parents. Rafiki gently comforts Kiara and shows her the Tree of Life. He explains that Simba and Nala will soon return with a special gift to continue the circle of life. Rafiki also tells Kiara that Simba was once a scared little cub, just like her. Her grandfather, Mufasa, had taught Simba to look up at the sky and howl to the wind. Over time, Simba learned to roar like a king and became brave and strong. Kiara admits that she doesn't feel brave like her father. Hearing this, Rafiki decides to tell her a story about a young cub who was just like her. He begins by describing a time long ago when the wilderness faced a terrible drought and it hadn't rained for 20 days. The story shifts to the past, where young Mufasa lives in the savannah with his parents. They tell him about a faraway land called Mala, a place full of greenery and water. His mother encourages him to close his eyes and imagine this lush, beautiful land. Excited, Mufasa closes his eyes and imagines a magical land filled with lush greenery, unlike anything he has ever seen. Soon after, Mufasa and his parents set off on their journey toward Milo. Along the way, they stop by a river in the savannah, where Mufasa witnesses rain for the first time. Overjoyed, he jumps into the water and begins playing with other animals. But the peaceful moment quickly turns dangerous when the rain causes the river to swell, leading to a sudden flood. Mufasa's father immediately dives into the water to save him, but struggles to get a firm grip. Eventually, he manages to push Mufasa onto a rock and instructs him to make his way toward his mother. Mufasa hesitates, frightened by the slippery rocks. Just as he gathers the courage to jump, a massive wave crashes over him and drags him underwater. A while later, Mufasa manages to cling to a piece of wood, keeping his head above the water. As he looks around, he realizes he doesn't recognize his surroundings. Suddenly, a young cub, much like him, appears out of nowhere and introduces himself as Taka. He asks for Mufasa's name before grinning and telling him he knows a secret. Curious, Mufasa asks what the secret is. Taka then reveals that Mufasa is about to be eaten. That's when Mufasa notices the crocodiles lurking nearby. Panicked, he scrambles toward the shore, but Taka grabs his paws and tries to help pull him to safety. Before Taka can fully help him, a loud roar echoes through the air. Taka's mother, Ishii, appears and scares the crocodiles away, giving Taka the chance to drag Mufasa out of the water. Once they're safe, Ishii turns to her son and begins scolding him for wandering off. Taka defends himself, insisting he was fine and only left when he saw Mufasa floating in the river. As Ishii tells Taka it's time to leave, Taka pleads with her to take Mufasa with them. Ishii reminds her son that his father, Obasi, does not like taking in strays. Hearing this, Mufasa quickly says that he isn't a stray, he's just lost. He then asks Ishii if she knows where his parents might be. Realizing she can't abandon the young cub, Ishii agrees to take him home with them. As expected, Obasi is not pleased when they arrive. He tells Ishii to get rid of the cub, making it clear he doesn't want any outsiders in their home. When Ishii insists on keeping Mufasa, Obasi reluctantly agrees but decides to test him. He asks the young cub his name, and when Mufasa replies, Obasi asks if he knows what it means. Before Mufasa can answer, Obasi declares that his name means king, but claims that Mufasa is no king. To prove it, Obasi organizes a race between Mufasa and Taka. Obasi tells Ishii that being a king is their son Taka's birthright, but Ishii counters that Taka must earn the title. The two cubs eagerly take on the challenge, racing across the wide fields. Mufasa nearly falters when faced with the river, but with Taka's help, he crosses it and ultimately wins the race. Disappointed but accepting the result, Obasi allows Mufasa to stay with their family, but limits him to living with the females. Over time, Mufasa and Taka grow close as friends. One day, Taka asks his father if he can join Mufasa and the females on a hunt, but Obasi refuses, insisting that a king's role is to protect the females, not to hunt. Although Taka dislikes the idea of spending his days resting, he doesn't challenge his father. From a distance, he watches Ishii and Mufasa prepare for the hunt. Meanwhile, Ishii tells Mufasa that his real parents are still out there, waiting for him. However, Mufasa dismisses the idea, saying he prefers being an outcast because it frees him from responsibilities like Taka's. Unbeknownst to Mufasa, Taka overhears their conversation and begins to sense a shift in their relationship. Later, while Mufasa and Ishii are hunting, they sense danger. Both prepare to confront the threat, but they are unexpectedly ambushed by large white lions, outsiders. Despite Ishii urging Mufasa to run, he stands his ground and fights alongside her. Meanwhile, Taka, who is watching from a distance, is paralyzed by fear and runs back to Obasi for help. When Ishii and Mufasa return, Obasi thanks Mufasa for protecting Ishii. However, Mufasa warns them that the white lions will return and that they must prepare for another attack. Obasi stubbornly dismisses Mufasa's warning. That night, Obasi privately tells Taka to hide his fear and failure to help during the attack, insisting that Taka is the true king and must protect their bloodline's reputation. Meanwhile, back at the outsiders' camp, Kairos, the leader of the White Lions, is furious when one of his lions returns empty-handed. In a fit of rage, Kairos orders the others to kill the failed lion. Back at Pride Rock, Obasi and Ishii decide to send Taka away to ensure the survival of their bloodline. Obasi and Ishii also decide to send Mufasa away with Taka, instructing him to protect Taka at all costs. Although Mufasa is reluctant to leave Ishii behind, she reassures him that he will find his family and urges him to head toward Milo, the magical land his mother had once told him about. With heavy hearts, Mufasa and Taka begin their journey, unaware that the outsiders have already launched an attack on Asai and Obasi. Shortly after setting out, Mufasa senses the presence of the white lions chasing them and warns Taka that they need to run. The two cubs sprint through the wilderness until they find themselves trapped at the edge of a cliff. With no other options, Mufasa and Taka prepare to jump into the river below. Taka encourages Mufasa to overcome his fear of water, and when the white lions close in, Mufasa takes the leap alongside Taka. To their relief, they surface instead of drowning. Their relief is short-lived, however, as one of the white lions dives into the river to pursue them. Holding tightly to each other, Mufasa and Taka let the current carry them downstream, eventually losing their pursuer. Exhausted, they finally make it to the riverbank. As night falls, the two cubs continue their journey toward Milo, but Mufasa senses the presence of another lion nearby. Alert and cautious, He demands the stranger reveal themselves. To their surprise, it turns out to be a young female lion who introduces herself as Sarabi. She too has been attacked by the outsiders and is wandering alone. When Taka invites Sarabi to join them on their journey, she hesitates, dismissing Mylel as a mere myth. However, Taka reminds her that she is alone and could use their protection. Just then, a bird named Zazu, who is Sarabi's companion, flies down and offers to look after her. Unsure of what to do, Sarabi asks Mufasa how they plan to find food as she is starving. Mufasa assures her they will hunt together. Meanwhile, up in a tree filled with baboons, a young Rafiki is being shunned by his clan for his mystical visions. Cast out in exile, Rafiki descends to the ground, where he encounters Mufasa, Taka, and Sarabi trying to hunt him. Thinking quickly, Rafiki pleads for his life and promises to guide them to Milo if they spare him. Intrigued by his offer, Mufasa agrees to let Rafiki join their group. Later that night, as everyone sleeps, Mufasa is troubled by dreams of his mother. In his dream, she tells him she is waiting for him in Milo. The next morning, the group continues their journey and eventually arrives at a vast canyon. When Mufasa suggests they need to pass through it, the others hesitate and protest. However, he persuades them when he teaches Sarabi how to track movements from a distance. Using her newfound skill, she detects the white lions following them and agrees to Mufasa's plan to navigate through the canyon. As they walk, Taka confides in Mufasa, asking for help to impress Sarabi, claiming she is his mate. Mufasa suggests he talk to her about the floral scent lingering on her fur. When Taka mentions it to Sarabi, she is pleasantly surprised and impressed by his keen sense of smell. After crossing the canyon, they encounter a herd of elephants moving toward the other end. Seeing an opportunity, Mufasa proposes asking the elephants if they know about Milo. Before they can approach the herd, Sarabi smells the white lions drawing closer. Thinking quickly, she pulls a beehive from a tree and hurls it onto the ground. The sudden chaos causes the elephants to stampede. In the midst of the commotion, Mufasa spots a white lion pursuing him. Before it can attack, the lion is trampled by the panicked elephants. Meanwhile, Sarabi, who had climbed a tree for safety, loses her grip and falls into the path of the stampede. An elephant kicks her across the field, leaving her unconscious. Desperate to save her, Mufasa leaps into the fray and manages to drag her to safety. From a distance, Taka watches in awe as Mufasa risks his life to protect Sarabi. When Sarabi regains consciousness, she asks Rafiki who rescued her. Before he can respond, Mufasa interrupts, crediting Taka as her savior. The group continues their journey over the next few days until they reach a snowy mountain. To avoid leaving tracks in the snow, Mufasa instructs Zazu to use his wings to sweep their tracks away. Zazu obliges, and they successfully confuse the white lions, forcing them to turn back. Later that day, Sarabi realizes it was Mufasa who had saved her during the stampede. Confronting him, she acknowledges his strength and attentiveness. She tells him she believes Taka's destiny was to save him, and declares that Mufasa is the true king. Hurt and disappointed, Taka watches their bond grow. Feeling overshadowed, he quietly walks to the edge of the snowy cliff, consumed by his thoughts. Suddenly, the snow beneath Taka gives way, and he slides down to the bottom of the mountain. There, he encounters the white lions, and, driven by feelings of resentment and jealousy, agrees to help them take down Mufasa. The next morning, Taka rejoins his friends, claiming he had been out hunting but came back empty-handed because he's not as skilled as Mufasa. The group continues their journey, oblivious to Taka's betrayal. After days of traveling, their hopes are realized as they finally glimpse the mythical land of Milo, a lush, vibrant paradise stretching before them. They approach the Tree of Life, where Rafiki had foreseen his brother in his visions. Upon reaching the tree, Rafiki reveals that he had also seen Mufasa in his visions, ruling Milo by his side. Their celebration is cut short when animals of the land accuse Mufasa of bringing danger to their sanctuary. As Mufasa tries to explain that they covered their tracks, the white lions appear, exposing Taka's betrayal. Though deeply hurt by his brother's actions, Mufasa refuses to back down and prepares to confront Kairos, the leader of the white lions. Meanwhile, Sarabi rallies the other animals to join the fight. Mufasa joins her efforts, inspiring the animals to stand together against the invaders. The battle begins, with every animal playing their part. Mufasa faces Kairos directly in a fierce fight. Kairos attacks relentlessly, forcing Mufasa to the edge of a canyon where he gains the upper hand. Mufasa struggles, his strength waning, until Taka, overwhelmed with guilt, intervenes just as Kairos lunges for the final blow. Taka is left with a scar over his eye, but gives Mufasa the time he needs to recover and counterattack. Mufasa and Kairos tumble into the ocean below, their fight continuing underwater. Rafiki, observing from above, causes a cave-in, flooding the area and trapping them both. Using his instincts and agility, Mufasa maneuvers Kairos into the path of a falling boulder, crushing him. Mufasa then swims out of the collapsing cave. At the edge of the water, Taka hesitates, torn between letting Mufasa drown and saving him. In the end, he pulls Mufasa to safety. With the battle over, Mufasa emerges to reunite with the animals of mythical. Among them is his mother, who shares the heartbreaking news that his father perished during the flood. Despite his grief, Mufasa embraces his destiny as the rightful king who saved the land. When Taka approaches to apologize, Mufasa, though pained, exiles him to protect the peace of the kingdom. Taka leaves, a vengeful fire burning in his heart. In the closing scene, Rafiki introduces Kiara to the kingdom. She reunites with Simba, Nala, and her new brother, symbolizing the beginning of a new chapter. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the bell to stay updated with our latest videos. See you next time.